Jamie Ramos.
There she is.
Hey.
Perfect.
Okay.
Hi, Kimmy. You're
You
back.
can hear me.
Yeah.
I can hear you.
How do you get on gallery view on the phone?
It's in the corner. Oh, on the phone. I
On
don't
the
think
phone,
you
I
can.
don't know.
Oh, on the phone.
Oh, you have to swipe
Yeah,
it.
you
No, it'll
can.
only
You
let
swipe a
4
little
on.
right. Yeah.
But it only
Oh,
lets
that's
4
right.
at a time, Kimmy. You can't.
And you're
Yes.
always one of your own views, which is dumb.
Mhm.
My mom
So
said,
maybe-
"Put me away."
But I'm
Wait.
swollen from the weekend, so you don't need to have me up there. It's fine.
Did
I
you see
don't
my
have
double
her, so-
chin in my freaking video with my son? I'm like, why did I put the phone at that angle?
No.
Terrible.
But
Ugh.
he was adorable and it was a great video and it doesn't
No,
matter.
dragon. This lady said to me, well, at the aquarium, do you want to take a look at this? I mean, it might not be, you might want to stand a little. And I was like, oh my God, are you trying to tell me my love handles are in there? You'd be such a good friend, but really nobody looks
No.
at me. She's in a mermaid tail in a wheelchair.
It's fine.
No, I
Thank
got
you.
it. It's fine. I love
I'm
my
not
love
the
handles.
focus,
It's
ma'am.
fine.
I'm not the focus.
Okay. Let's pause this Bia.
Hello and welcome to Table for Five with no reservations. Take a seat at the table for a fresh, sweet, salty tart, and pleasantly bitter conversation.
Thank you for taking a seat at the table for our next series. This is how we do it. Tonight we are going to be talking about everyone's favorite potty training, your kids. It's so fun, takes so long. We're going to give you our best tips and maybe not so best tips.
And maybe
What-
some tears.
or maybe some tears.
And maybe
We're
some
all-
poop stories.
Maybe some
Yeah.
poop stories. We're all in different phases of this. Tonight, we're going to start with Jamie. She has her son who is potty trained and her daughter who is in process. So let us know how it went with your kiddos.
All the poop.
We're all in
poops.
process here. Just kidding. Not sure if I'm potty trained. Okay, so potty training is gonna be the demise of me in this life. I have decided.
I agree.
So with my son, who is atypical, he is on the autism spectrum. When he was 18 months, because that's before I really knew that he had autism or anything like that. A little after that, we figured out that he had at least some sort of developmental delay. But I had nannied a ton. I've potty trained several kids before. I at least helped the parents. So I was part of their potty training. And so I've done different methods. I've done different things. And so I introduced him to a potty at 18 months old. Not potty training, but I had a potty around, all these things. I had this whole plan. So around 18 months when my son, he's 6 now, but my journey, he's 6.5 now. So my journey started around 18 months with him. And then I tried around 2, but it was just clear with my son. He had no clue. There wasn't like an interest in the bathroom, anything like that. So I just knew that he didn't even get it. Like he was not ready. So I tried a little bit, wasn't going to work. Like mostly just me trying to put him on the toilet, really just more so freaked him out than anything. And so then I waited around 3, we tried again. It just wasn't working. And then I was getting frustrated. So I just knew we needed to stop again. So I think it was about,
Wait, Jame, are you like a Cheerios in the toilet mom? Are you like lots and tons of water and we go every minute, or what's your
in the
method?
beginning, it was just like when I would start. So when I start potty training, just from what I've learned, it's just like introducing them to the potty, showing them how we go potty.
Mhm.
So we
Lots
never
of
got
doors
that
open.
far technically yet. Like because there was just nothing. He just was like, what are you even talking about? So when I was pregnant with my daughter, I was like, this has to be it. Can't have 2 kids in diapers.
Too expensive.
So that's when I went all for it. And we did all this stuff. And yeah, so I gave him a ton to drink. I put him on the potty every like 30 minutes, stuff like that. He like wouldn't really go, or he would just have accidents all the time. So then I got nervous about just taking away the pull-up or diaper, because then you're just cleaning up pee all the time.
Oy.
Still my life. So that was not smart. So that didn't work out. So then around after my daughter was born, it was when my son was 4.5. I read the book. I read the 3-day potty training system book.
Oh,
I don't know. There's a few of the 3-day potty training systems, and I can't remember the exact name of this book, but I'm pretty sure it's called 3-day potty training, but there's a lot of them. But this lady has this whole idea that like you put them in underwear, you take them that first morning, you show them the toilet, you throw away the pull-ups or diapers. That's it. You're done. I was going to do this. I was all committed. I had all the treats ready, everything. potty room, the room's just set up so that they don't really go around. You keep them all, you're constantly watching them. You're watching them for these signs. So basically your kid starts peeing, standing in the kitchen, watching TV, wherever, and you pick them up and you run to the toilet. No joke. This is the
Trauma.
and you're constantly asking them, let me know if you need to go potty. You're constantly saying like, let me know. This was a disaster. I scared
This
the
sounds
crap
like
out
a
of my
disaster.
son,
This
probably.
is published. This is a thing.
Oh yeah, and a lot of people use it and swear by it. That's how I found out about it. And she even puts in there, by this time we pretty much knew my son was on the spectrum. We were waiting for the official diagnosis. We only had the school diagnosis. And she's like, it works with autistic kids too. And I'm like, okay, like she mentioned autism. No one else really does in those books and stuff. And so all my son learned how to do from that was to hold it. He wouldn't go. So we end up at the doctor because I'm worried now that my kid won't pee. I was worried that he had infection or something. So at his school, his para was like, just send him in underwear. He's doing great at school, because she can pay attention to him all day and just put him on the potty. But at home, it was hard for me. I had a little baby and him. And so I couldn't always catch, when he was going. And so he was doing fine at school, but at home, so I'm like, I know you can do this, kid. So after we ended up at the doctor, I was like scarred. I felt horrible. And I just felt like the worst mom. And so we waited a few weeks. Then one weekend I left him home with my husband. My husband put him on the potty every 30 minutes, and then my son was potty trained.
Oh,
But I really do think it was just,
Isaac's like,
go Isaac.
but I do think, so I had tried that. I had tried everything. I think it was probably by that point I had been like scarred. There was some other potty issues. I don't like to get too much into that stuff with my son, just because he's a human and I don't want that necessarily out in the internet world. But like, I think there was just like, I was triggered by potty stuff and I had anxiety. And even though I tried in front of him, I was putting on a happy face. I was being like the best me I thought I could be, but I'm sure he could just feel my anxiety. So I think he needed that gap in time. I think he needed that break. He had learned, I taught him how to hold it. I did teach him that.
How old was he when he was fully trained?
So he was fully trained by 4.5. Although technically to some of the therapists, he's still not fully trained because he won't wipe and flush. Like we have to still instruct him like, hey, make sure you wipe, make sure you do this. And they worked with him standing up, going to the bathroom. I'm like, I don't care if the kid ever stands up. That's not a worry of mine. So things like that, like some people are like, oh, well, let's finish up this training. And I'm like, from where we were to where we are, I'm great. It was just a whole thing. But I do recommend a lot of liquids. I always tell people, they have to understand the connection between I'm drinking something, it's going through my body, that feeling, and then I'm releasing on the toilet. Like that's the biggest thing they have to learn. And I did eventually teach them that through that scary 3-day thing that just wasn't for my kid overall. But I will say it did help. It did teach him how to hold it. He never had accidents at night. So that system must work for like a lot of typical kids. My sister used the same technique on her son who's typical. She had a potty train in a few days. With my daughter, I seriously thought like, it's going to be no problem. She understood. She was curious about us going to the bathroom at 1. She was so into it. I had the little potty from when my son was little. I would show her, I put her on and off that. She was like excited about it for a little bit, but now we're at this place where like she goes to school, we have her in underwear, but she still has a lot of accidents at home. She doesn't want to stop playing to go potty. Like I think of a lot of typical things with potty training, which were with my son too. He didn't want to stop and go. So I thought it would be a lot easier with her because she's typical and she is so aware and she completely understands what it is. She talks to me about it. We have communication about it, but it's not just, it's such a mental thing for these kids. It's
a control thing too.
It's a control thing. And it's the first thing that we like push them on with their bodies. And so it's with both my kids, I try to be very aware of that and be like, well, this is your body and let's learn how our body functions and all that stuff. So
she's okay at school, no accidents?
She's had a couple accidents at school. But with both of those, it's been like, I gotta go, which she doesn't do this with me. And they like try to rush her and then she's had accidents. So I'm like, that's better than at home. And they're really kind about it, luckily, because the worst thing, if anyone's a caretaker out there and the parents are having a hard time potty training their kid, do not give them crap about it.
Literally, please keep the crap out of it.
Not the pictures, not the whole story, none of it.
We had the same kind of, I don't know, with Nixon, we started probably around 2.5 with him, and we kind of were in the same space where he didn't have a diagnosis. We didn't know, but he was nonverbal. And so a lot of it was like showing, modeling. And with him, we got a great tip from a friend who has 4 neurotypical boys. And she was like, put Cheerios in the toilet. They like to pee on things. So that helped visually, I think, for him to like see something to aim for and it be exciting. And he's really receptive to a lot of excitement and praise. So if you get really excited about something, he's really excited about it. Yeah, we're like, yeah, that's great. So we use that tool for him. We did the every 30 minutes to the potty, but we tried a couple times. We went back to it. We stopped. We went back to it because he wasn't same thing. He wasn't really ready or like grasping. The other thing we did with him, he had like sensory stuff for sitting. And I think it was like the emptiness underneath him that was strange. And so he always stood
Oh, that's nice.
from the beginning. Yeah, from the beginning, which was actually good. But then it didn't really translate to the other part. So we had it was a long process for him.
I should have said too, the sounds. It's so loud.
Oh, yeah.
From the flushing. That was a big thing for Jesse. And we didn't know that at first.
Yeah.
But Jesse was pretty much nonverbal too. He would say individual words, but nothing to do with any of that. It's so hard when they can't tell you. And you're not sure if they're understanding.
And it's really on a time thing. You just got to go every 30 minutes because they can't tell you that they need to go. And then we use there's these really cool cooling pull-ups, which I think help with nonverbal kiddos that when they go, it actually gets cold. And so it helps like connect that sensation of going and that something's happening in their body, so that actually helped a lot too, to kind of what you had where it was like learning to hold it. He seemed to like connect that feeling to going. So, but I will tell you, some of my worst mothering moments have been around poop.
Mm-hmm.
There's certain things I just cannot handle in my life. And I freak the living beep out when it comes to that situation. I just can't. And Nick has
Poop
to
is
deal
one
with
of
it.
those bleeps.
Yeah, poop. I can't.
I've cried over poop many times. Lost my crap and cried.
And potty training is so hard. It takes so much practice and you don't know what you're doing and you're just trying things. Our daughter is getting there. She definitely knows way ahead of Nixon time frame wise, like how it all works. Like she'll take her pull up off. She can take her clothes on and off. We had that issue too, like gross motor wise he needed.
Same.
It's just a terrible situation. But it took us probably, I want to say about 1.5 years to be fully from beginning to the end trying it.
Yeah.
So, but the tips were Cheerios in the toilet, those cooling pull-ups, amazing. Definitely try those for nonverbal kiddos because I think it helped us anyway.
I just say it's just so like for us, it was just so hard. And I know all our kids are different, but at that time in Jesse's life, there just was no communication. It wasn't even that he was non-speaking. He didn't interact with us. So it was really hard. And thinking back on that time, I think like it was a hard time in general. And then connecting the potty train with that, it's like, scarring in a way.
Well, and you're trying to do things on the time frame that the books tell you that you're supposed to do it. Like your kid should start potty training at 18 months. And you're like, okay, let's do this. Let's try it. And then it's like, no, this isn't working at all. And then you have to pause and then go back to it, which we were kind of like, okay with after trying it.
Well, that's a nice thing they tell you in the books is just to stop. Time and then go back. But then you have like our doctor was like, no, just keep going. And I was like, no, I'm not listening to you. Right.
I'm not doing that. I might lose my mind. I'm not doing that.
The books all scar me. All of them. We could talk about them in each section. I've read every book. None of them match up with autism.
God, I feel lazy. Makes me feel so lazy when I think about this stuff.
Oh, well, we might as well just jump to you, Jen.
Jen did the ideal way. I almost paid someone
hire
to do
Marley. Need to hire a Marley. I had just a caregiver that had a way with her at the time where she could actually get her to try things. I went away on a business trip and I came back 3 days later and she was fully potty trained. In my defense, I'm gonna give myself a little defense here. She only drank milk because she was 4 and she didn't eat any solid food. So she didn't really eat food. She only drank milk. So, she's on a bottle all the time. I don't know. It just never even crossed my mind to, sure, I bought the little potty and I just didn't I didn't care enough to, it just wasn't a battle I even cared to have. I was
Yeah.
by myself, working full time, driving my kid to Marley's house in the morning and then backtracking 30 miles to go to work. Like it was the last thing on my mind. It was not the last thing on Marley's mind.
Thank goodness for Marley.
Thank God. So I came home and she said, don't you dare put a pull-up on her. I was like, yes, ma'am. And that was it. She's like, you need to put her on the potty every 30 minutes and she will go to the bathroom. And she did. And I didn't go back from there, but
That's
I don't know.
amazing.
She'd probably still be in a pull-up now. And I don't mean that to any disrespect to people who have children. I want to be very clear. I don't mean that in that way. It's just, I literally don't have it in me for that kind of stuff. I'm not consistent. I mean, sure, I would have potty trained her, but
Did she show any signs of like readiness or anything?
none. Just, I mean, it actually wasn't even on my radar. I mean, she was 4, but she was still in, a full-time battle. She wasn't eating food. She was still very much a baby to me, but Marley just didn't treat her that way. I mean, even so, Marley has this nook that her husband built, like an eating nook for their family. And she had an in-home daycare and all the kids had to sit together in this nook for lunch. And Kaya had her bottle, but she's like, she still sits there for lunchtime. And she doesn't leave till the kids eat their lunch. That was the deal, that was the rule. None of the kids got up until everybody was finished their lunch. So just because she swigged a bottle back like a whiskey shot didn't mean she got to get up from the table. You know what I mean? So those were just her rules and she just had her for 3 days straight.
Well, there is that thing with like the maturity, like very recently
Yeah.
I looked at a picture of my son at 3 and then a picture of my daughter who's typical, but she's also like, there's big differences between girls and boys. But I look at him in that picture and he looks like a baby to me because he was just so behind in like a lot of the social interactive things that we treated him more like a baby. And especially when it's your first child or your only child, you don't have that urgency because you're like, well, they're still drinking from a bottle. They're still doing that, they're not talking. And so you kind of wake up one day and you're like, for us, it was like, oh, preschool's coming up. Another baby's coming up. We should probably work on potty training. With my daughter, we knew because there was those natural signs of curiosity. We're like, oh, okay, so it's time to start working on that.
And I think maybe with someone else, it's a little bit easier. Like it's not their kid.
Yeah.
It's just
Yep.
and not taking any, credit away from her. I'm going to be very clear. Like that's a badass thing to do. 3, she also got Kai off her bottle. So not just potty trained her, but in a separate business trip, I went away and she just took her bottle away. Now, I'm sure in her head, the theory was, well, she'll start eating food, right? But really what it did was eliminate the milk from her diet, which she needed because the doctor said, like, you can't, because she wasn't pooping. She wasn't pooping because she was drinking a gallon of milk a day. You know what I mean? So it was like.
How old was she when she went off the bottle?
4 as well.
Alyssa too.
Yeah, 4 as well. Which again, I came home from a business trip and she said, don't you dare. And by the way, I threw every bottle in your house in the garbage. So there's no bottles. And I was like,
Don't buy one.
damn, she's throw me business.
I need Marley to come do that with me and the sugar.
Yeah, exactly.
Get us all on track, Marley.
Yeah, we all need a Marley.
What
Need a
about you,
Marley.
Kim? You've had the whole gamut of experience in this department with your kiddos.
Yes. With Alyssa, she started school when she was 3, developmental preschool, something very comparable to that. And a few days in, or maybe a week in, they were like, oh, we want you to send underwear. And I was like, why? I mean, she just wasn't, she has severe autism, and everything that I was told was like, a lot of these kids don't even get potty trained. I mean, the information was a lot different then because there was no internet, there was no groups, it was just what the specialist told you. And you know what I mean? What you looked up on the internet was basically like an encyclopedia thing. There was no like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? There was no, she just wasn't aware. Like you couldn't really talk to her. She was nonverbal, so she couldn't communicate it. And like you said, Jenna, like honestly, it wasn't really a priority at all for us at that time. We were just trying to make it through the day with everybody being in one piece. And I said, okay. I thought they were crazy, but I got the underwear and I sent it. She didn't go at first, but she never had an accident, even from day one. She held it, and she held it all day at school. So she would leave for school at 8:30 in the morning and come home at 2:30 and had never gone to the bathroom once. Now, the second I got her, a pull-up one on her because she'd just be peeing all over my floors. And I wasn't like, it was hard enough to get her to keep a pull-up on at that time and not be naked. So
Yes.
I was like, no, pull-up is going on. There's no way she's going to go potty for us. Like, it's just not going to happen. And then, I'm not really sure exactly how long it took. It wasn't long, but probably a few weeks. I'd say like 4 to 6 weeks. She started going at school, but she still wouldn't go at home. So still, she went to school. They finally broke her. They finally broke her.
More
She started
Kool-Aid, more
going
Kool-Aid.
only pee though. She'd only pee. She wouldn't poop there. So that, so she never pooped. She didn't poop at school from those hours. So when she got home, she'd get a pull-up on. And then I was in the shower one day and she came in and she sat on the toilet and she went pee. She was 3 years and 3 months. And I was like, she just peed. I yelled.
Oh my God.
Laughing. And
She potty trained herself.
yeah, and it just got like it. We're like, okay.
She's like, I got this. It's fine.
Don't
Take
worry.
a shower. You're gonna go
So
pee.
So she just, and it just kind of went from there. Although poop was a different story because although she would pee at home, she wouldn't poop on the potty. So what we would do is like when we were home, she would be in underwear or nothing. And then when we were out, she would do a pull-up. But what she started to do is she would poop because her diet was very, very restricted. So her poop was like hard rocks, pebbles. She never had messy ones. They were always just very, anyone who deals with kids in
I was
constipation.
like, I used to think Kaya's poop would shatter the toilet. Like it would
Yeah.
be so
Hey,
Marbles dropping.
You can pick
But
those
what
poops
she
off
would
the
do-
floor a lot easier.
Yes.
It's true.
Yes, you can.
That's
No,
true,
there's
Jamie.
Literally no mess. So like what she would do is she's so funny. So she would poop in the corner somewhere and she'd put something over it, like a piece of paper, a sock, something.
She knew
So
to
when you're
hide
like,
it.
I'd be like cleaning up and I'd pick something up and I'd be like, oh, there we go. But it wasn't. It was no clean. You just wiped it up and
That
wiped
was
the rug with a wipey. That was it. So it took a long time for that, but probably was around 4 when she started doing that. But from everything we were told, like that was really good for her level of autism that she had and her level of not being able to communicate. I have no complaints as far as that. I think that we really, really lucked out in that area. And then, like I said, she never really had accidents. Like so what would happen was we were going out and then one day we were out like the whole entire day, like 10 hours. And I'm like, oh, her pull-up's dry. So she was holding it even when we were out. So I'm like, oh, we can't do a pull-up anymore because 5 or 6 hours is one thing, but like 10 to 12 hours is, you know what I mean? And she'd never be able to tell you if she had signs of a UTI or anything. So then we just kind of stopped and it was really never an issue. We obviously have to make sure she goes to the bathroom. Even now, like sometimes if she starts getting irritated about something, we'll ask her, do you have to, it's always hungry. Do you have to go to the bathroom? And that was how that went. And then with my son, he did this thing and because I want all parents to know about this. This is a thing that most kids do. I call it the honeymoon phase where he was about 2.5. I was pregnant with Alyssa and he started to go potty. And I thought this was great. 2.5. And we lived with my mother. She had a big house with an upstairs bathroom. So every time we had to run up the stairs, put him on the potty. And he was all excited. And that lasted about 6 days. And then I think he was like, forget this stuff. Like,
This takes too much time.
yeah, well, I think what happens is like you're all excited and it's like a new thing, and then they're excited, but then when they realize how much work potty training is, like they have to remember, they have to stop what they're doing. Like it really, it is a lot of work for them. So then they're like, forget it. And also a lot of people seem to think that they should really get their child potty trained while they're pregnant. Not a good idea.
I thought that too.
The chances of a regression are so high that once a baby's born, that they're going to go backwards. Obviously, if they're ready and they're kind of really doing on their own, you should, follow their lead. But like, I wouldn't push it if they're not showing the signs because it's going to probably come back at you. So then he had to be potty trained to start his new school at 2.9. At 3. And so at 2.9, I started really trying to train him because he wasn't going to be able to go to the school.
2.9 is like one of my favorite things, like stop
2.9. I have 2 point. I'm almost there.
He was 2.9.
One of my favorite things about her.
And I did everything you can think of. We had a sticker chart. We did stars. We did prizes, bribery, anything. He would not do it no matter what. And then after like maybe 2 months, I was just like, I'm done. Like, I don't know. I'm just going to have to find another school. Like, I don't know what to do. But
We can't know.
He cannot go to this school. I cannot do this.
He turned 3 in July and then school started in September. So like I still had some time, but like, when at that moment, it doesn't feel like it. It just feels like, you feel like, so like,
Yes. You got to get this under control. We only have this many months.
Literally woke up. This is the day he turned 3. He woke up and he goes, I gotta pee. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
He literally was potty trained like within that week. I mean,
I need these kids that just decide to do this one day.
Pantry, so if he was playing outside, he could come right. That was his thing. If he was playing outside, he didn't want to have to come in because he was afraid that he would be able to go back out. I'm like, nope, potty right here, and
The outside kid.
And it was like, really?
With a
Like,
boy, I guess that's easier. There's a bush.
everything.
Pull it out. Have at her, buddy.
There's
But with a girl,
I tried everything you could think of, and
That's so
he just
easy.
wouldn't do it. But now, when you fast forward to my daughters, Kara and Lexi, they're 2 years apart. Kiara literally was like the most independent toddler you'd ever meet in your life. She literally, like, she was out of the high chair. She was out of the cat. Like, she wanted to dress herself. Like, wanted to do everything herself. She wanted to go on the potty. And I'm like, okay, at 2 years old, she was potty trained. And I'm not even going to take credit because she did it herself. Like, she just wanted to do it. And I'm like, okay, sure, And then when Lexi came along, because she saw her sister doing it all the time, she wanted to do it. God forbid Kira does something that Lexi doesn't get to do.
The baby, yeah.
And it was the same thing. I mean, and then it's like a circus. You're in the bathroom, like you got the 2 little ones in the bathroom with you. Like, you can't get, they have so much exposure to it at that age because they don't leave you alone. And she did the same thing. She kind of just wanted to go, and they were really easy to put. I don't even think I can take credit for it. They literally trained themselves, but they're all so different, They're all so different.
Yeah.
Sometimes you push them, the more you push them, the more they push back. So
I do think they're going to do it when they're ready. I mean, I know that sometimes if they would be forever in a pull-up, but there is going to be a point for a typical child. It is very different for children with special needs, but for a typical child, eventually they don't want to be wet. You know what I mean? Where, like, I think Tabs, you were saying sometimes, our kiddos don't even feel that sensation that they go. They don't have that trigger in general.
My daughter's not about being wet. She'll just pee on the floor somewhere instead.
Doesn't give a rip.
But my daughter's a lot like Kira, everything else. She wants to dress herself. She wants to be everything. She's so independent, but it's just around the potty. And I feel like, I've tried not to push her, so I don't know what it is, but it's like, I think it is just a control thing. And I think she's a daughter and she secretly wants to piss me off. So
Did she piss on the floor?
And I can say
Baby Kaya showed her the TikTok. I don't know. I'm sorry, James. Because I'm worried about at school when it's going to be piss on the floor. Piss on the floor, that little TikTok that she does. I'm like,
Well, they're only going to do that once, aren't they?
I can also say from running a daycare and working in daycare for a lot of years that there are kids that just won't do it. There are kids that are just, it's usually boys. Some boys just don't, literally, they don't care. They don't care. So we do come to a point where we're like, just send them in underwear. Just send them in underwear and lots of extra clothes. And usually that does the trick, but they have to be like somewhat ready. Understand. It's when they're inconsistent and like going one day, then not the next, then that's when we usually do that. And what we do is when they have accidents, we make them change their own clothes, and they hate that. Because especially boys, they don't want to spend all that time in the bathroom when they could be like playing or they have an accident outside.
Well, and I understand those boys because I think as a parent, like for me with both my kids, it's like, well, diapers are kind of nice. We can travel. We don't have to worry about running to the potty all the time. Like,
or if there is a potty, holy hell, that's the worst.
Oh yeah, I mean,
potty training.
To look at every bathroom.
You put a little person on that dirty, public, nasty toilet. Like,
we went to a children's park one time. No bathroom.
Oh, we have our parks don't have bathrooms.
What? Like, get
grip.
Oh, the locked bathrooms. Yeah, our parks don't really have. This next city over that's a little nicer. We usually go there to hang out. They have nice bathrooms.
The worst is if you go somewhere with an outhouse.
We've had those moments. Jesse went to like a
never. My son would never.
That was his first time standing.
My
husband had to jump.
Yeah. So how did it go for you, Rachel and Sealy girl?
Well, first, I mean, I know that this is just a thing, but I just want to show this. I know it's a podcast. That's my notes. For the girl who didn't have much to talk about.
Page of notes, people.
Page of notes. I've got a page of notes here. So basically, number one, I can own my place in this. As I've listened to you guys, I don't push, I didn't do, I went with the flow, like blah, blah. This is going to be a long-winded story with some tips and tricks in here. But essentially, I deep down in my core believe that kids are done when they're done and they're ready when they're goddamn ready. Now, this is a mom with a 6-year-old with a nookie. So like, if you don't like that
Approach.
Secondly,
This is a manual coming to you.
Yes.
Soon.
Secondly, I own the fact that I myself, Rachel Flanagan, have like some deep-seated potty issues. Okay. I did not go at school until I was menstruating. They have like a discussion and a neighborhood know that like when Rachel gets off the bus, she runs this fast when it's flat. And then she walks up the hill on the driveway like this. And then by the time anybody's here, if you came home with my brother or sister, you're going to see my butt cheeks because I drop trow as I kick the shoes off and I try and like into the bathroom to like let her buck. Okay. I do not like to public pee. This has hindered my life in such a way that God forbid you have to midday poop and you're at work. I leave the building. Okay. Leave the building. I did not want to paralyze my daughter with this baggage. I can't forward this baggage. So I decided that like come hell or high water, we would public pee together. Since then, I've changed to tampon, pooped and peed all at the same Target stop. Okay. Curtsy. That all being said, I also handed my mom my diapers at 18 months old and said, no more diapers and walked away. So
Were you before
when
Amy or after, Rach?
I'm the middle, but
You're
they
the middle,
bought
right?
me,
Eric,
so they
you-
had
okay,
like
yeah.
this different
Okay.
skill set, like
Right.
right there in the center. So basically, when Celie showed that she was into it, I thought like, oh my God, here's my answered prayer baby that I bought. It's gonna go great. She's so interested. We have the Daniel Tiger Flush book. We talk about it. We do
Fun.
all the things. I mean, I've probably been up and down a urethra, either like on the Magic School Bus or some other YouTube. Okay. I'm just saying
If that's out there, go check
we're
it
a
out.
fact-based
Magic
family.
school bus.
Yeah. Rachel and
Link will be
Celie
in the
coming up-
description if you need it. Tabitha,
You're
we should
welcome.
get that link in the
Yeah, if
description.
that's real. I don't know. If not, I found some Dr. Binox that talks about it. Anyhow, we've been pretty fact-based, pretty like, oh, you're interested. Look, you could just sit and there's a hole there. It holds your pee-pee. Watch this. Like we'd fill it up, we'd play. Like it was very casual because she was so into it. And then it stopped. I
Okay.
had to go back to the freaking duct tape in a 380 around the diaper to keep it on because little stripper. Okay. 380, because if you leave a gap, if you only do the sides, if you think you're getting fresh with that duct tape, like just a little bit skosh here and there, oh, I'll forget about it. You'll pay. Okay. She could pee like a fire hose. She would poop like a hot mess. Limited diet did equate to marble poops for us eventually, but there was some nasty things going on in that system of hers. Oh, still scarred, still smell it. So eventually we learned that all of this was like probably a second marked regression because of her interest, ability, going to the potty. She had no friggin' idea that you drink and you pee and you drink and you pee, no matter
No,
if Miss
No.
Frizzle taught her. Okay.
no.
So then eventually she got to like dry at night and I sort of took notice. And dry at night really means something because she never did sleep. So dry at night with no potty breaks. We weren't using it as a stall technique. Like it was gone. She didn't pee at night. Then she wouldn't pee before daycare. And then she's in pull-ups and she's on the diaper names wall, not the big kids potty wall, because they have like this list of like who to change, who to check in with, because there's like aides floating through that daycare. She knew she was on the diaper wall and she's like, so she just learned how to go pee in the toilet. And that was all good in the hood until she decided to hold her poop and bring them home like a goddamn treasure for me. So then she was the like squatter. I know exactly what I'm doing and I don't want to do it your way. Your way is so stupid. So I'm going to take all the toys out of the toy bin and I'm going to go take a deuce in there and I'm going to move it all around in there. And then you're going to want to set fire to the thing and it's likely flammable. Bad diet. Like it was awful. It was awful. I didn't have Ask Jeeves or whatever Kim had. I didn't have the understanding of like Pinterest and its endless resources. I was just trying to read my kid, and it was a
Mm.
mess. It was a mess. We always had problems that obviously now are sensory, but we
She
called
still
those,
struggles though to go to the bathroom.
we called those things quirks. Oh, she will hold a poop. Okay.
So let me just quickly tell a
Bessie
story.
will too.
Rachel calls and says on FaceTime, Barack Obama poops, right? I'm like, yes, he does. And Celia's like, what? I'm like, Barack Obama poops. No, he doesn't. I'm like, yes, he does. She's like, he poops. I'm like, he poops. And then she pooped. Then she pooped. And
Yeah.
she was so proud of
Like
herself
Obama.
because she pooped like Barack
So
Obama. But it
now-
was this.
Now we call Auntie Jen when she's been holding Deuce for a while because
Yeah.
it's miserable for her. We have to
Mm.
figure it out. We have to
Mhm.
solve the problem for her. And it has to go like diet down. We cannot, I mean, God
Mhm.
forbid I put anything in there to solve that problem. I mean, this is a thing we've been dealing with, these poops.
How old was she when she was trained? When she got off the diaper wall and onto the big
I
hip
think
wall?
4.
Wow. All of us were 4.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We were 4.5.
Oh wait.
I
was-
am talking about like a deep, deep damn interest. You could have thought that my kid would be potty trained by 18 and a half
That's
months.
funny though. That's
Mhm.
funny.
She was
Kids,
like this.
yeah.
And if you can't see this in a video or you can't blur that, I just spoke sign language with a bird. It's a middle.
Middle bird.
Middle bird.
It's just so hard because our kids, even I think if they want to, it's just so hard to regulate themselves.
Yeah.
So regulating that aspect of their bodies, but Jess will still hold it in. It's if like if we're there somewhere, or I know he will not go number 2 at school. He always comes home and goes.
Mhm.
But there's been times you want to throw a party because your kid pooped. Because you're
Oh my God,
so
call this auntie.
raw.
Yeah.
So I want to real quick talk about poop, just real quick, because James, I know we
Let's
have
do
a
it.
thread and we joke because you're like,
Yeah.
I'm like poop to Jesse walk, and all of us are like, no, we can feel it. But also with our kiddos, as you've all said, they'll hold it. And my daughter's 11; she'll be 12 in April, and I have to do 2 poop smears on her. How many weeks has it been? I've not collected the poop, but
Yeah.
for so many years she didn't go to the bathroom that now when she does, there's you can smell the blood when you get near the toilet. It is so much blood in the toilet. So they need
Yeah.
2 swabs of her poop, which I have to catch. I'm like, come on.
In the hat.
It never, I said, we're never going to get that poop. Just so everyone is clear.
What kind of
Like-
task is that?
Well, Jen,
Come
do you
on.
wanna-
Come
You wanna
on.
know how we got Alyssa's poop? Because we had to do a poop sample for her and we shut the water off.
Oh, so the toilet's
Stop
that's smart.
Oh,
Kaya won't tell me
Genius.
when she's going poop though. She will not.
Oh, it
there's-
doesn't
and
matter.
She actually won't pee when she's pooping. So it's like, isn't that weird? She will not go pee if she has to poop. She'll hold her pee. She'll poop, get up, make me wipe her, the whole routine, and then sit back down to pee. So I don't ever know.
But you
Like,
can't
I don't-
flush it if there's no water.
Yeah.
You only
she
get-
flushed.
I'm not turning off
flushes.
my water. I'll be clear, everyone. My water is not being turned off. They can wait
Well, it
for that poop
it just shuts
sample. No,
off-
I'm just kidding.
It just shuts
kidding.
off the toilet water and you can turn it right back on. There's a knob on the bottom of I will have Neil
On the
FaceTime you and
toilet.
show you how
I was
to do
like,
it.
you've met me, right? Yeah. Okay,
No,
you
it's-
get Neil.
I
Have Neil
could
call
do it.
me.
Don't even need your
And I
handyman.
could do it, and that's what we had to do. And I had to like go in the bathroom.
It's a
every
really
time.
good idea, actually, because
If
she
you
won't
can-
say it is.
So
It's
If
they
you
really
tried-
can
good.
open
they tried
a
saran
Crown
wrap.
Royal, I'm
Saran
going to
wrap.
touch somebody else's poop tonight, then you can turn off the
Touching her,
water.
the touching her poop, actually, it does. I mean, she's my kid. It really doesn't. I mean, it stinks, but it does not bother me.
Yeah.
But
Alright.
it's more of a blood
Um,
smell. I mean, it's her little bum is.
Yeah.
He said there's just a fissure that hasn't healed from
Mhm.
all of the years of straining. It just needs a
Mhm.
little nip tuck surgery. I'm like, if you're nip and tucking, could you do my stomach? Like real quick, 2 for 1. Roll me in there.
A twofer.
So what they
Roll me in there. Yeah,
they
he said
suggested
no.
to me was
Said no.
saran wrap, but like Alyssa,
Yes. But the
wouldn't
problem
do-
is she doesn't tell me when she's pooping. So like she would pee and it would splash up and then she wouldn't go pee again. That's the
Yeah.
problem. Like
Alyssa wouldn't go on the saran wrap. That was not happening.
That's not, like I know there's like bags or something, but yeah, like if you
This
don't know when your
all
kid's-
sounds terrible. What kind of
because she doesn't,
This is our lives.
yeah,
This
it's like
is-
she
yeah.
doesn't say I have to poop or I have to pee. It's literally when
Yep.
she sits down. Well,
I
it's
mean-
too late. It's too late.
I
It's
have
too
just
late.
another layer of this because maybe we can just calm Rachel down. Maybe we can't. But you guys, don't you feel like potty training is one thing, but self-care and hygiene is a whole other
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
I do.
Wow.
Absolutely.
That's what they're talking to us about, like finishing up the potty training is like
Yeah.
mostly like the wiping, the washing hands after. And it's like,
No,
just go in the potty. I'm good there. Like for right now. I mean, I want the self-care stuff, but that's a whole nother
Yeah,
battle.
self-care is
it's,
hard.
yeah, that's not potty training.
Jesus
I
Christ,
don't-
we have the assessment to, okay, so Celie Flanagan has autism in addition to these other things. And many of those things have a diagnosis paperwork. And many of those things are lifelong conditions. So it just chaps my rear end that we have to reapply for this stuff tomorrow. It's our date. So like reassessment to prove her genetics are still the same that carry the autism, because that's proven by the Mayo Clinic here on page 50 freaking 4. But I digress. In that, we have all these points given and taken away for activities of daily living and self-care and all these skills and things that like a 6-year-old may or may not need help with versus a 5 or a 7, like as it were. And like my kid is capable of doing a good front to back when she decides. And then she has it in her head because other people let her, because they don't want to be wiping a little girl, like of all the things that could happen or go wrong or be accused. Like, I'm sure that people would just rather say, I'm not doing that. But this is a matter of her needs. She is capable. And then when she leaves it wet, we've got like a whole world of problems that require a whole additional level of attention and care and a whole other additional level of potential trauma. Like just the whole thing is just such a freaking nightmare. Do I need to wipe my kid? No. Do I need to wipe my kid to keep that other thing from happening? Yes, every damn time. And being understood at that level is so frustrating. And I feel like it's only going to be worse as she's older. I'm like, God damn it. Is this true? Somebody fix it. Calm it down. Calm me down.
We never know what our kids are going to be able to do. That's what I think.
No,
I
but
think,
like Jen, you've wiped Kaya. She's older. Do you have other people help with this?
So at school last year, her EA told me she'll wipe herself if she goes potty. She cannot wipe herself if she goes poop. At home, Mama, do it. I mean, there's no her wiping the potty. She will not wipe herself at home. And I know a lot of people think, make her wipe herself. Ladies, have my back here. She will not wipe herself at home. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
I mean,
So-
if her mind is made up,
It's made up.
That's it.
Yeah. So, but at
That's
school,
tough.
her EA used to wipe her but very rarely would she go number 2 at school.
We're at the point where it's all prompted. So if we know, like I do know Jesse goes about the same time because he won't go at school. So it's usually shortly after school. And so I have to go in the bathroom and prompt him or bring him back in the bathroom because I know because he doesn't flush. So I know that he did, but it was a goal of his in therapy to work on that. And so he can do the actual act of doing it.
Well, that's
We're
the
just
other
in a
thing,
place.
like what Rachel is saying is like, yes, you want them to be able to do that, but you also have to think about the other things like UTIs and rashes and,
Yes.
Oh my
uncomfortableness all day long,
So I
all
always
that.
say it's just honestly another fight I even care to have right now. Like I know she's 11 and she is more than capable of wiping herself.
Do you have to do both, Jen? Or just
I
poop?
do. I do both. Yeah. At home, I do both. But when she was at school, she would go to the bathroom and wipe herself if she peed, no problem. How well did she do it? I don't know. Her EA said she grabbed wad and dab, which is fine. I mean,
Yeah.
Celie has
Take a
like,
shower when you get
you'd
home.
think she's
Yeah.
folding a goddamn swan in origami with this way it has to happen.
Jesse from like the way they taught him is like, he's really
Oh.
particular about it. But
and
I,
you're during
Ours is
COVID,
a
you're like,
zigzag.
don't waste that toilet paper. Don't
well, my
waste
biggest
it."
fear, and this is like, I
It's
mean, maybe
2020.
so superficial. I'm very worried about my kids smelling. So I'm worried that he is going to go at school. He's not going to wipe or anything. And the
Yes.
kids are going to tease him for smelling. And that breaks my heart because I
Yeah.
remember kids making fun of other kids.
Yeah.
And I probably did too.
Kids are mean.
There was like the stinky kid. And now I feel like sick about that. And I do not, I try to, it breaks my heart thinking about, I know my kids.
Well, I
gonna
hope they
be
would
fun of,
wipe him, James, for
but-
something like that. Like you would hope, but you hear
But
these
you don't
stories.
always
Kids
know,
have
'cause-
food on their face all day. They have
And-
food on their shirts.
And
like,
he's
no
not going to
dignity.
tell you, he's
you
not going
know?
to say that he's going to do that. So they're going to get to this point where like, oh, well, he can go pee by himself because that doesn't require any of that stuff. But I don't know if they're checking that, like maybe he got some pee on himself, maybe, just stuff
Right.
like that. And
Yeah.
it's hard.
Yeah.
And with
Well-
Alyssa, like she doesn't like certain things. Like she likes things to be very clean. So like she
Yeah.
can do that stuff, no
Oh.
problem. The only problem that we would have would be like if she had like a diarrhea poop, because she would wipe and wipe and wipe, and sometimes
Smear it and it would be a
she'd like
mess.
wipe it on the wall, like, you know, because
Yeah,
you know
we
that
had-
happens, and she can't tell you, like, she can't come into the bath, or she can't come out of the bathroom and be like, oh, I need help with this, like how Kaya can yell for you. She could never do that. So like,
But Kaya wouldn't be able to, although Kaya is considered verbal, she would not be able to articulate if she got poop smeared on her. I
Yeah.
mean, she would be able to, I guess, call me and
Yeah.
maybe indicate on some level, but by no means could she articulate that
so like
kind of,
sometimes I'd see it on the wall and be
you
like,
know?
oh. But now we don't
Surprise.
have that problem. I had the same problem when she got her period. She wanted to wipe it away.
Mm.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Same thing
That
with
don't
bug
go
bites.
away.
She would pick, and then, you know, it's like she's so rigid about, it's just something she's rigid about. So she'll
Mhm.
Yeah.
like that
I
works
mean,
out in this
you're
instance
right.
for her, because she'll make sure her stuff is to the way she
I
likes
mean,
it.
I guess Kimmy, you're right. Like if she could say, Jennifer, poop. I mean, she could somehow, I
Yeah.
guess, express
Yeah.
it if there's a problem in the bathroom. But I mean, we all know I'm a little anal, pardon the pun, when we're talking about poop. When my daughter goes poop, I get a warm washcloth and I wipe her. I wash her front, I wash her bum. Rachel can attest to this. I do it
Yeah.
every time she goes number 2. I just want her clean.
It's the funniest. I mean, you guys have all been there on the FaceTime with her. Suddenly we're looking at the bathroom ceiling, and then Kaya's face just hovers over the whole. like,
No one needs an itchy bum. You gotta make sure
No,
you get it all
that's what
nice
I
and
always
clean
say.
for them.
That's
right?
what I
like
always
you're
say. I'm
taking
like,
battles.
Nick, you don't want an itchy bum.
You know, itchy
Nobody
bum,
wants to
man,
walk
bend
around
over.
with it.
So I get a warm cloth and I wash her and then I
The
dry her
worst.
and you know,
But
maybe
maybe
that's why
it's
she doesn't poop at school. No one's pulling out the
Maybe
warm
just like
towelette.
Yeah. No,
yeah,
but
exactly.
Heated
Kaya's
towel.
business.
Where's the heated towel?
Yes, they don't understand the Queen Kaya's demands, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Queen guys, yeah.
But
I don't
it might
understand
might just be a security for her. Like, you know what I mean? She might
Yeah.
know that
Yeah,
that's how she wants it to feel afterwards.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, she
Yeah.
does know that.
she does. Yeah,
she does know that.
yeah. She
Oh
said
my
goodbye to me
gosh.
today. Bye, Jennifer. I'm like, that's what she calls me. But I'm really your mom. It's fine.
I just have to tell, it's so funny. I don't know why. I don't know how. I don't know how this happened. Okay. Celie watches the YouTube. We let her buck on there. There's been no problems, except that there is a contraption that a girl puts on her vagina that turns into a funnel that
Oh,
looks
yeah.
like a penis.
So you can
Doesn't look
pee-
like a penis.
so you can
but
pee
it's
in the
called
woods.
a go girl.
A
okay?
go girl. You use
slide
that
her
to pee in the
down.
woods.
Yeah, you slide her down there, and then it makes it go from over here out over to here. Okay, go
Better
girl.
than the TikTok about
On the
bleeping on
floor.
the floor. Okay.
Yeah,
Go girl.
she only said bleep for not for you listeners, but the fact that she's a mixed company. She's momming right now. If you
Yeah.
should piss on the floor, she will.
She's gonna just go for it. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's fine.
Let her go. We had to discuss how we don't get the Go Girl. They don't make them for kid sizes. She says she cannot wait till her vagina grows up. She also calls it her labia or her vaginius, just because we're on this episode. Okay, everybody should know that. And
Love that.
she decides that, okay, well, if kids don't get the Go Girl, then they have to do this other squatting technique. And so every time we are at the hot tub in my dad's neighborhood, which is ritzy schnitzy, guess who goes into the hydrangeas for a big leak? Yeah, she also does the farmer blowout at the side. It is hysterical.
Papa's hydrangeas have never been so hydrated.
Yeah.
Hydrated. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I just can't. I'm glad it's only at my dad's house, but she dreams
Let's
of a
keep
grown up.
that compartmentalized. See, let's just
Yeah,
keep it at Pampas. Don't pee
you
on
just
other hydrangeas.
pick up
Can't
that
bring her to
go girl.
Seattle.
I-
That's a hydrangea.
But I
over
will
there.
say, like, an issue that we have had come up recently with Alyssa at school is that she can't ask to go to the bathroom. So if somebody
Yeah.
doesn't ask her to go to the bathroom,
Prompt her to go. Yeah.
she doesn't go.
You should be asking her every 30 minutes, Kimmy.
I mean, at least every
Hour?
hour
Every
to
30
2
minutes,
hours.
she may have
I
to
mean,
pee.
she
Yeah.
can hold her pee fine. Like, but I mean, she shouldn't be holding it from 8:30 to 2 because nobody asked her to go to the bathroom.
Right.
Yeah.
So because of the staffing issues that they're having in the day programs now, sometimes it's different staff. You kind of got to be in tune with her. Her old teacher was very in tune with her, Plus she was a mom, so she knew to like ask her to go to the bathroom. I mean, I don't know.
And
why they
like
don't-
for all of us, that's a whole episode.
yeah, I mean,
A whole episode.
they brought that up to me and I'm like, well, she's nonverbal.
Yes. And she's
She
talk
can
dependent.
sign- She can sign bathroom. She does it here. She's done it when we're out. I usually ask her because she's completely independent when she's anywhere where she has access to a bathroom. Like if we're home, if we're at somebody's house, and sometimes when we're out, there's been a few times that she signed bathroom, but she doesn't do it that often. But we can't. Well, if I have to go to the bathroom, I obviously will ask her if she has to go. You
Mm-hmm.
just. But it is harder when they can't communicate it. So this is the first time I've ever run into this because this doesn't happen at school because they make sure they take them to the bathroom.
Yeah.
So,
Celie only says I have a tummy ache.
yeah.
My tummy
Alyssa
hurts.
just gets
Do you have to pee?
a little witchy. And we're like, okay, something's going on. And then we
Yeah.
just go through hungry. Do you have to go to the bathroom? It's usually like one of those.
I don't know if this was an uplifting episode for the folks or if it was
No, I think-
motivational.
But if you've
So
gotten
I
this
hope to
far, we
say-
appreciate
Yeah.
out of you.
Yes, we do.
What I was going to say is that if you're in it, potty training, there's proof in this podcast that people get potty trained.
Yeah.
Proof is in the poop.
Proof is in the book. May happen later, may happen at different
Which is fine.
ages. Our kids do what they want and when they're ready.
I think it's very common for kids on the spectrum to be trained later. I mean, I
Yeah.
think 4 is great
Yeah.
for a child on the spectrum.
Yeah, so give
yeah.
I
yourself
just
some
want to
time.
point out too that as many things on the spectrum, you'll be willing to accept totally potty trained status when they only go pee in the
Yep,
toilet.
you will.
And you'll be totally thrilled
Absolutely.
when they
You'll
start
be
Please
moving.
doesn't wipe. I'll take it.
You
I-
call it potty trained.
We'll
and
take
they
it.
still wear diapers at night.
Yeah, and you give
own it.
yourself a check mark for that. all
Yes,
the
you
time.
do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't let it's so much of the outside world. It's these outside pressures of people
Yes.
asking you of like preschool deadlines and stuff like that. Like, just do what works, because I will tell you from experience, it's not worth the tears. And the day my son was potty trained is one of the most relieving days of my life. But just when it happens, it will happen.
Yeah.
And it's not worth like the end of the world, because it just makes
And it's not a
makes it harder.
reflection on your parenting either.
Not at all. Not at all. So many tears over
Also,
potty training.
invest in some moccasins with that plastic bottom or something, just in case you get a little.
Yes,
Nobody
Yes.
likes a wet sock in the morning. It's hard to love your kid when you
It is messy. You
it
can't get
is
away from it.
so
Just
messy.
also, I tried to make it not messy for a little bit, and that
What a joke.
So thank you for joining us for this lovely potty training episode. This is how we do it, or have done it, some of us. And some
Put
to
the
be
list of
continued.
Alyssa's diet that you had at the time, so there are no messes.
Yeah, Kim might be able to help with that.
Yeah, you want
So
some
Jo-
marbles?
Yeah. Join us for our next episode on This Is How You Do It. This is how we do it.
Wait, can we just have
This is
you
how we
wrap
do
us
it.
out? This is how.
I was like,
we
it's
do
all I
it.
hear every single time.
I
Every
think
This
too.
time.
is
so
how
like
we
Tabs.
do it.
Yeah.
This is how we do it.
Okay, that guys.
Thank you for joining us. Bye.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you.
Thank you for joining us at the table for this discussion on potty training for the first episode of our 6th series, This Is How We Do It. If you are enjoying the podcast and you happen to be listening on Apple Podcast, we would appreciate if you could rate and review us. You can also leave a review on our Facebook page. Make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. You can also email us at tablefor5podcast@gmail.com. We have new episodes every Monday. Join us next week for episode 2 of this series. We'll see you then. Bye.